Yeah,
you know?
it's funny, talking about freedom of speech at the moment, and on a platform it's slightly different, which we'll play a clip from America from in a moment. But this week, I put a comment down about, I think the government, well, it's on Facebook, I won't say, but I was abusive, I suppose. And you got to think, and then people replied, and fair enough, they replied, and some were abusive towards me.
Yes.
And is that okay, Mike? Is that the way we should go forward?
Depends what they've said. Depends what they've said, doesn't it?
Well, they just say I'm a tosser, I suppose, is the word they wanted to use, or something like
those frames. I've had that a long time going on with this show, as you well know.
Yeah.
It depends wherever they cross a line. And if that crossing the line is very similar to what's happened over in America, you cross a line when you start to say, I'm not happy with what you've said, to the point where I'm going to cause damage to you. I'm going to physically cause damage. I'm going to find your house, go around there, do stuff. That's the line.
That's not freedom of speech. So it's about intent, is what you're saying.
Well, it's when freedom of speech becomes hate speech. And I know that hate speech is a nebulous term that people don't really understand.
What
it means where you say something.
You, Mike. I hate you.
Yeah, that's not hate speech. Hate speech is when I say I dislike a certain person because of things that they believe and what they say, and then I give information out where people can act on it. I believe that's what it is. Hate speech has to be. It's got to be capable of causing harm and be intended. Yes, to cause harm.
I mean, there must be legal things around.
There is. I mean, this is it's a quagmire. This I could go deeper into it. I mean, it's unbelievable to actually get from what is acceptable to where you've crossed the line is very confusing indeed.
I've got an example then. Stay with me on this one. Is this hate speech? 1 second. Mike, at times,
yep,
you really got on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to do this.
Oh, yeah. You see...
Is that hate speech?
So you
didn't expect that, did you? Not seen that?
No, I've not. It's not like I've got one in my desk drawer.
Is that hate speech?
No, not really, no.
What is it? Comedy?
I don't know.
But if it's done in a different way... And that was a real gun.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's crime, but it's a hate speech. I want to shoot you.
Yeah.
But if I said it in such a way...
I don't know what to say on that one.
So should we just play the next clip?
Yeah.
Let's play it.
The free speech protections of the First Amendment are so complicated, it's no surprise that most Americans seem to misunderstand them. Free speech is anything but absolute. In fact, it only prevents the government from intruding on speech. The First Amendment gives a person no right whatsoever to say whatever they want on a private company's platform. Of course, all speech is subject to some regulation, whether or not it's on a private forum. You can't threaten people, you can't slander people, there are some limitations. But as much as social media companies like Facebook or Twitter feel like publicly available forums for anybody, they are anything but. These social media companies are privately owned. They're not owned by the government. So the First Amendment doesn't even apply to them. For example, a private bar or restaurant can kick out just about anybody for any reason, whether they're not wearing a shirt or they're too intoxicated. Now, the reason bars kick out drunk people is that drunk people are a liability for the bar. But social media companies don't even have that liability. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act says that they are not liable for what other people post on their forum. It would be like a bar that made a lot of money from drunk patrons buying drinks, but then had zero liability when those drunks turned around and attacked other innocent people. There is a developing philosophical debate that a social media company or an internet service provider may become so important to speech that they are a kind of public forum. In the future, there may be legislation saying that Facebook or Twitter or whatever comes after those things is a kind of public forum, and it may even be regulated by the government. Perhaps Section 230 will be replaced by laws that allow for liability for internet service providers or social media companies for what is said on their forum. First Amendment law is constantly evolving because the way we speak is constantly evolving, and the forum in which we speak evolves as well. It may seem unfair that a web hosting service would summarily dump a company's website because they don't like the company's speech. Whether it's Twitter permanently suspending President Trump or Simon & Schuster declining to do business with Josh Hawley, companies can't be forced by the government to put out speech that they don't want to put out there. In fact, even if a person is completely denied access to speaking on the internet, nothing prevents that person from opening their window and shouting out onto a crowded street. Ultimately, the First Amendment only limits government action. It gives a private person no right to say whatever they want in a private forum.
So there we have it. There's no such thing as free speech if you're using a certain platform, Twitter, Facebook, any social media whatsoever, because they can just drop it. And
it's the actions. I've been talking about it on this show for years.
Is that right though, Mike, in some sense? Because it could be that they are dominated. For example, imagine if Trump got power.
Oh, imagine that one.
And he's controlling, again, for the next 4 years, he's controlling these companies by whatever reason. Well, and therefore, he wants to say about what Marcus Rashford had done. Marcus, in whatever way.
The rich footballer,
Are you jealous of him?
No, he's a rich footballer. That's nice, isn't it?
There's many rich people.
No. He's done well, hasn't he? He's done well. He's done something. Most of them don't.
So, but imagine if they said, no, we're not having that, them left-wing views on. Free speech has it ever been free speech?
Free speech is, you've got to have limitations on it at the end of the day. I've been talking about lots of cases on here. Fox News have resulted in deaths. They have had presenters make names up for people. They've persecuted people. They've got an abortion clinic doctor murdered because they gave him a nickname, Dr. Tiller the Baby Killer. That alone, when I was looking at it under the law of this country, Bill O'Reilly from Fox News could have been easily indicted for for complicity in the murder because somebody turned up on the car park and shot him dead. This is what you're dealing with, and people dismiss it and they go, well, words can't make people do that. Well, look what's just been going on. Anybody now that thinks that words and telling a few lies can't influence people to do dodgy stuff, then you've not been paying attention.
There was a quote last night, I was watching some American channel, and they're saying Trump lies have allowed his world to be crumbled down upon him.
Well, they have.
They've been built on lies.
Boomeranged round. They've boomeranged round, and at the moment, he's now gone that far with this. The worst thing he could have done was made that riot happen last week. That was the worst thing he could have possibly done, to damage himself, to ruin his chances of running again. He could have easily just been magnanimous last week and gone, well, I don't agree with the result, I still think this fraud, and lied, and then gone, but I'm not going to go to the inauguration, but you have got a new president, but I'm going to run in 2024. And that would have been it, and there was nothing anyone could do, but he had to go down this route. And we're going to go into further details later in the show, but anyone who thinks that his actions have not caused deaths has not been paying attention. Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button. Let's do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.